It's the first day of 2026, and on today's episode, I'm going to give my crazy 7 predictions for the year in forms of what's going to happen with semiconductor stocks, what's going to happen with the AI market. And after that, after that, don't worry, this episode is packed with a lot of great information. After that, I want to share my top 14 stocks for 2026 as well. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. All right. So first, let's just start off. Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope everybody had a great time in yesterday. I hope everybody had a great time with their families, with their friends, whatever you did. I personally feel like an old man because me and my wife and my little one, we were sleeping by like 10 o'clock, 10:30. I think I was knocked out. I didn't do anything, but got a lot of sleep. And that's a good time for me. I hope everybody had a great time with their family and friends as well. Now, in forms of stock portfolio, this is the past year to date performance. Tech stocks did amazing. I mean, if you have Google, if you have nvidia, even nvidia, which only provided 37%, I'm pretty happy for it to be my biggest position in my overall portfolio. AMT 75%. Congratulations to all Broadcom shareholders. If you were in the tech space, I think we had a great year. And I think we're going to have another great year here in 2026. Did I say 2026 before? I meant 2025. So 2025 was great for tech stocks, was great for the AI market. I think we're going to see something similar here in 2026. So I hope you guys stay tuned to this channel. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Again, I just want to say thank you for everything. Now, I do also have some New Year's resolution. Somebody started a thread in my old video, in yesterday's video, and they wish that for 2026, I say the word unfortunately a lot less and the word now a lot less. So if you have any other words that you want me to say a lot less this year, let me know in the comments. My overall goal is to try to make better content, information content, and just share my overall thoughts in the AI and semiconductor industry. So I want to start off with my predictions, and this is my outlook for the overall market. Remember, remember is going to be another word that you guys are going to say. I'm huge into semiconductor stocks. I'm a semiconductor analyst, pretty much. That's pretty much where I dedicate every single day, understanding more about this industry. I am huge into the AI space. I use AI tools on a daily basis. I don't think there's any other investor YouTuber out there that knows the AI market like I know, that knows the semiconductor market like I do. And that's all thanks to the real experience that I use using these tools, all the research I do on a daily basis, and also the background that I have. I have a master's degree in electrical engineering. I have worked at some crazy places when I used to be in the workforce. Now I just do this full time because luckily I do have a great work ethic. I have a great business mindset that has allowed me to do this full time. Now, my first prediction is that NVIDIA's price target is going to be somewhere around $245 by the end of this year. Now, obviously, if we get something better than that, that's super amazing. But with the current prices of 180, this is translating to somewhere around the 35% year-to-date growth. The main reason is I believe the AI market is going to continue to grow. I think NVIDIA is going to continue to be the number one player in this space, especially as Blackwell Ultra is shipping and is ramping up right now. And we have the Rubin platform, which is going to completely change the AI market. I expect huge growth here. For me, 30% is amazing, especially for my biggest position in my overall portfolio. And I would be happy with another 30% year. Now, NVIDIA, like I mentioned, this past year did 34%. So around similar levels of growth rate in this upcoming year. And I kind of showcase my overall thought process. Why? Now, prediction number 2 is AMD's expansion. I believe AMD is actually going to have over a $500 billion market cap by the end of this year. Now, the main reason is I believe the MI350 and the MI400 are going to see strong adoptions, and just the overall demand in the AI space is going to be crazy. So if the MI450 does amazing, like I think it is, I see this being a $500 billion plus market cap by the end of this year. Now, one thing that I want to do this year is normally I feel like I play it safe. I always just say maybe this, maybe that, or probably this. I want to be a little bit more definitive this year. That doesn't mean that I'm always going to be right, but I do want to just feel comfortable and confidence with what I say. right? Again, I'm not saying that it's the complete truth and that we're going to get there, but this is where my thesis lies. And this is where I'm looking at price expansions. Now, I don't want these to be price targets, right? Let's say we hit 500, $600 billion. It doesn't mean I'm going to sell. These are just where I expect these prices to be, and I'm a long-term investor. For AMD, I still believe this is a $1 trillion position in the next 5 years. So even if we hit $500 billion this year, it doesn't mean I'm selling. But this is where I'm expecting, thanks to these certain type of transactions or these certain types of moves, like the amazing MI450 that we're gonna go. And just because I'm an AMD bull doesn't mean I'm an NVIDIA bear. There's people like me where you can be both bullish on NVIDIA and AMD just because this AI market is massive and the demand is going to continue to grow. And that's one of the predictions I have later on. Now, prediction number 3, the Magnificent Seven, the Max 7, is going to continue to dominate. Now, Max 7 earnings growth remains decoupled from the broader macro volatility. I think because they have all this massive growth in cloud and all this massive investments in AI, they're going to be strongly getting financial numbers on the top line and bottom line due to the AI market, especially those in the cloud space. Those will drive strong financial growth. And obviously, the strong balance sheet provides a safe haven status for institutional capital. So prediction number 3, Mag 7 is going to dominate. Now, some people might say, Jose, but the Mag 7 didn't dominate in 2025. Right now, I have this chart, and all these charts you can find at fiscal.ai/Jose for 15% off. Let me just say, if you are serious about investing, if you want to do your own data, fiscal.ai is the platform you need. I use it every single day. If you use fiscal.ai/Jose, you get that 15% off. Now, here, if we look at these numbers, yellow is the Qs and the blue is the S&P 500. The others are the 4 Mag 7s that underperform the market. That is Microsoft, that is Apple, that is Meta Platforms, and that is Amazon. So those 4 outperformed the market, but there were 3 that kind of overperformed. The one that destroyed this year was Google with 65% in this past year. NVIDIA, 35%. I still think that's amazing. Some people don't like it. I'm not going to complain about a 35% year-to-date growth after the year we saw in 2024 and after the year we saw in 2023. If you're complaining, I don't know what to say. I don't want to say nothing mean. It's the beginning of the year. I don't want to be rude. But those 2 outperformed both the S&P 500 and the Qs. Now, Tesla outperformed the S&P 500, but it did not outperform the Qs. Now, even though there were only 2 main players that outperformed the overall market, a Mag 7 ETF that I follow, which I own and I've talked about a lot in this channel, MAGS, ticker MAGS, outperformed both the S&P 500 and the Qs. So as a total hold, I do believe the MAG 7 ETF is going to continue to dominate this year in overall market and the overall Qs. I really like this because, hey, you might have picked the wrong mags, but if you have this Mag 7 ETF, you still ended up beating the market and the Qs themselves, which I'm pretty excited about, right? I talked about this ETF numerous times. People hate me about it, but so be it. Now, prediction number 4. This is where little scary things happen, right? For prediction number 4, I believe consumer tech is going to have a major challenge this year. Now, the main reason is memory prices are surging in the overall consumer space because of the massive demand of HBM. And HBM pretty much eats up DRAM capacity. And if you're eating up DRAM capacity, you're going to be eating up that memory that goes onto your tablets, onto your PCs, onto your GPUs, and the list goes on and on. So prediction number 4, memory prices and the memory shortage is going to create a bad time for consumer tech. But that's okay, because for me, I'm pretty excited about the data center market, maybe not excited about the memory space. Now, the only way I could see this kind of shifting and this prediction being wrong is if companies start to be or are forced to use older generation memory to allow to stay competitive and to allow to have plenty of inventory. But if shortages continue to go up or the shortages continues to impact the overall market, we're most likely going to see delays in certain products, from laptops, from CPUs to maybe even game consoles. consoles. So I think the consumer tech market is going to have a bad time unless we see more competition in this space. Now, if you want to follow the semiconductor industry and the AI industry, make sure to check out my platform, whatthechiphappen.com. Right now, there is 33% off your annual subscription if you use the code 2026. What the chip happened, I have a lot of great information there. I have deep dives on a weekly basis. I have AI agents. I have so much more that I'm releasing in 2026. So if you want 33% off, go to whatthechiphappen.com and use the code 2026. Now, prediction number 5, AI infrastructure is going to continue to dominate. The demand for specialized AI compute clusters is, and with the massive constraints that we see in the overall market. So first, you have the massive demand of AI, but then you have the constraints of things like power, of AI data centers. I think this is going to be very strong for the AI infrastructure space. I personally enjoy CoreWeave. I also own Nebius, right? So I think as a whole, this sector is going to do really well in 2026. Now, prediction number 6, the AI server market is going to outperform the market. Now, if we look now, am I saying now a little bit too much? I think I have. So let's cut it out because that was something I need to eliminate for this year. Prediction number 6 was the AI servers outperform. In orange, we have the S&P 500 Qs. Qs was 21%, S&P 500 was 18%. Your top 3 AI server providers, Dell Technologies, 10% this year. SMCI, negative 2.6%. HPE closed at 15%. But all 3 of those underperformed the market. With the massive demand of AI servers, with the massive demand of AI compute, I think might be another one, right? 2026 is going to be strong for the AI server players. We're going to continue to see demand, especially if the China market opens up. H200s are going to fly out due to the massive demand, and these are players that can benefit dramatically for that. So you guys know me. I'm not one that usually ends up being bullish in AI servers. I don't own any of these right now, but that might change. Make sure to stay tuned to the overall channel. That's going to change, might change, because this is a market I could see kind of outperforming when it underperformed in 2025. Now, prediction number 7. This is the last prediction before I kind of get into the 14 stocks. The era of agentic AI. AI agents is going to drive crazy demand in the software market. If you haven't used Claude 4.5 Opus, you should try right now. You can probably develop a crazy app without being a coder. That's how crazy AI is evolving right now. And I would say the market is underestimating how big the software space is, how big software total addressable market is. And just the improvement in that one era can drive massive, massive growth in AI compute. Now, another prediction here in the AI space is robotics. I think robotics will be pretty slow for most of the year. While we will get some cool press releases here and there, I don't expect much real top line changes until the second half of this year, maybe even closer to Q4 of 2026. So robotics AI is exciting. Like I mentioned, press releases here, especially as CES comes out in next week. And for those that are not familiar, I'm actually going to CES. I have a few interviews planned with some NVIDIA players. We're going to learn a lot. If you, again, stay tuned to this channel, 2026 is going to be a great channel for Jose Navarro stocks. We're going to get, I'm hoping, 100,000 subs by the end of the year. We can do that, right? 100,000 subs by the end of the year. So software market is going to help explode AI compute. Robotics is getting there. We're going to get something revolutionary by Q4 of 2026. Now, let's talk about the 14 stocks. This is probably what you wanted. No one cares about my overall predictions. You're going to say, Jose, you're wrong. Your predictions suck. Now, first, I want to talk about top 2 ETFs. Right, not everyone wants to invest in the overall market. Not everyone wants to invest in individual companies. But if there were 2 ETFs that I would purchase and I pretty much own, is the MAGS, which I talked about earlier in this episode. This is a Round Hill MAG 7 ETF, the best way, in my opinion, to capture the MAG 7. The second is a VanEck Semiconductor ETF. This is um, semiconductor ETF that's a lot concentrated in certain of positions I'm extremely bullish on. Now, this is the semiconductor ETF, SOXX, not the one I talked about, but just a general semiconductor ETF, and the MAX. Both of these outperformed the S&P 500, and both of them performed the Qs. I believe that's going to be the same case here in 2026. So those are my two favorite ETFs if I wasn't individually investing. And I mentioned I own both of these and will continue to buy them because if we saw that most Mag 7s didn't outperform the market, but the Mag 7 ETF did just because some of those crazy winners were amazing, like Google, like nvidia, helped this ETF beat the market. Now, the top two. So I talked about the top two generic ETFs. Now my top two semiconductor ETFs. Now this is going to be SOXX and SMHX. Now, one of them I talked about already, right? The SMHXX. But to me, the semiconductor market is going to continue to dominate due to robotics, automotive, AI data centers, and the list goes on and on. There's all this technology that's evolving in the world, and it's going to continue to evolve. Semiconductors are going to be the key players doing that. And that's why I focus in this industry because I can never get bored. So, just a quick exposure SOXX, not one position is bigger than 10%. 8.4% AMD, 7.8% Micron, 7.4% Broadcom, 6.8% NVIDIA. Remember, all these great charts on fiscal.ai/Jose. Lam Research, Applied Material, Qualcomm, the list goes on and on. It's very diversified within the semiconductor ecosystem. This is the more semiconductor approach. Now, if you are a little bit more of a, I have my favorite players, NVIDIA, Broadcom isn't bad, AMD is strong, Marvell strong. Those four alone make up, I want to say, closer to 45% of the total ETF. NVIDIA, you guys know I'm extremely bullish on that one. So 20% on the ETF, and I still get exposure to other players. That's one of my favorite ways. So SMHX is my other kind of semiconductor ETF. Now, my top two chip stocks. By no surprise, this should be to no one's surprise unless this is your first time on this channel, and welcome if it is. My top two chip stocks are NVIDIA and AMD. I mean, predictions one and prediction two showcase that I believe these two are gonna be at least a 30% returner year to date, which is amazing for any stock, for anything in general. And I believe both of these. There we go with me saying I believe again. We have to tone that down. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are enjoying the energy, if you guys are enjoying this, because I want to make this year where you guys feel this energy that I have and this excitement that I have for AI, for semiconductor, and the overall industry. If you noticed it, let me know in the comments below. So, NVIDIA and AMD, both due to the AI demand, these are my top two chip stocks for the year. Now, my high risk, my high reward players. This is where I'm not a gambler, right? I like to gamble, but I'm not a gambler. These are the stocks where I have a massive thesis, but I understand the risk is pretty high. CoreWeave, massive amount of debt, but the need for AI GPUs and AI GPU cloud and AI infrastructure is crazy. And CoreWeave is a massive player. CoreWeave, if this is the first one. The second one is Marvell. Marvell is less than what, $80 billion market cap. It helps design AI chips with big players. They have a big contract with Amazon, and they've proved a lot of the bears wrong that they're losing that market with Amazon. They're not. They're even grabbing more and more. This is one that obviously you have that risk of being an ASIC player. You have that risk of NVIDIA, of Broadcom. But the reward, if they succeed really, really good, this revenue is going to grow dramatically. So CoreWeave and Marvell are my high risk, high reward. Now I want to talk about my two top Max 7s, not counting NVIDIA, right? Because I can't say NVIDIA again. But my two favorite Max 7s at these moments right now is Amazon and Meta. These two completely underperformed the market in 2025. These Amazon, I've actually never owned until just a few months ago. Maybe I think a month ago, maybe 2 months, the latest. But Amazon and Meta are my two favorite Max 7s. Amazon, AWS is going to grow dramatically. It's going to be insane. Then you have the advertisement solution, you have the subscription solution, and like I mentioned, AWS. AWS is all I need. Meta's valuation has seen attractive levels. They're pushing hard in AI, massive amount of consumer usage, daily users. And they continue to buy more and more players in the AI ecosystem. They also have the future potential of the AR, VR glasses. And I think that's a long shot win, but overall, massive free cash flow, massive AI investments, and I think they're going to do really well with these valuations. So Amazon and Meta are my two favorite Max 7s. Now I want to talk about non-chip products, right? Because I also, believe it or not, I also look sometimes at companies that are not in the overall semiconductor or AI space. The first one is Uber. Uber has sitting about $80 right now. I own it in my portfolio. Uber is one that I can see grow due to AI efficiencies. And I'm not talking about autonomous vehicles. That would be great. But Uber has so much data and AI can help them use that data very well to improve revenue potential, but more importantly, improve efficiencies. So even if you don't see much growth in revenue due to AI, you can see improvements in free cash flow. You can see improvements in earnings per share just by making smarter decisions on their platform for their drivers, for the promotions, for their ads, thanks to AI. And I think that's a big underseen asset for Uber, all that data. Now, the second is GitLab, ticker GTLB. I'm huge in AI coding revolution, and I think GitLab, with its overall DevSecOps solution, a full platform, is going to be one that can win dramatically from this space. So those are my two non-chip and semiconductor players right now. Now, the final thing are my top three equipment stocks for the semiconductor industry. Advanced packaging, HBM, or and thanks to AI, advanced packaging is the way we're kind of moving a lot of this AI chip development. Huge. It's crucial for efficiencies, for power drain. The list goes on and on. Advanced packaging is crucial. And these are three players that are helping with either the yield, with either the advanced packaging, or has a massive exposure in things like HBM. Camtech, BE Semiconductor, and Air Test System. These are three as a top semiconductor equipment player that are going to benefit from this AI era. Now, all these stocks that I mentioned here, especially those focused on semiconductor and AI, are going to get a form of deep dive in my community, whatthechipHappened.com. Remember, 33% off if you use the coupon 2026. That's over $100 off on the annual subscription. And I'm adding more and more every single week, every single month. You get more than just deep dives. You get live streams with me. You can message me directly, and the list goes on and on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, for 2026, I'm going to try to be more energetic. I'm going to try to show my excitement for the semiconductor industry. I'm going to try to say now a lot less. Unfortunately, a lot less. I'm going to try to be more definite, whichever it is. I'm going to be more confident in myself. Now, again, just because I'm more confident doesn't mean I believe I'm right. Or that I believe I'm going to be right 100% of the times. But I believe that most of the time that I'm going to be more right than wrong, at least in the long term of things. And uh, I, I just, again, want to say thank you all if you stay tuned to this whole channel. I would love to see what are some of your top stocks for 2026. And I don't know. So what are some of your resolutions for 2026? I am curious. I do read the comments. I really do. I appreciate you guys for being here. And yeah, enough yapping, enough talking. Take care. Have a good day, and see you all tomorrow.